So hello and welcome to this presentation for Orenda on AirForce technology, a new technology released by Orenda for the pulverizing industry. My name is Dr.Gareth McDowell and I'm the Managing Director of 493K Limited, a temperature and pressure monitoring company for rotational moulding based in the United Kingdom. You may be wondering why I'm presenting on behalf of Orenda. The answer is very simple. I visited their plant, I was impressed with what they saw, I asked a few too many questions, and now I seem to know enough about this technology to give a presentation to you. So, what is this AirForce technology all about? Well, first of all, we saw that it was developed by Orenda to optimize the pulverizing process. And really, we think it is one of the biggest advancements in pulverizing in decades. So what makes it so special? Well, it's going to provide increased production rates. It's going to minimize your energy usage in your pulverizing plant. And it's going to give you the facility to pulverize an extended range of materials. So I think that is an interesting introduction, enough for you to stay with me, and we'll go through a few of these slides. So what does the technology offer to our end, or to the rotomolders? It offers the elimination of water cooling. So I know a lot of moulders use water cooling. It enables them to grind a little faster. It removes this need for water cooling. Instead uses the air that is already present within the grinder, and it uses it in an efficient manner to allow the pulverizer to output a much greater amount of material. It's also temperature independent. So for example, you don't need to be measuring the temperature of the grinding plates and choking back on the feed. You can simply put as much material into that grinder as you can effectively get in. There will be limitations, of course. So let's talk about the performance. The increased production rates, what are we talking about? Well, 60% more material than when compared with a water-cooled pulverizing system with the same motor. So for the same power motor, we're talking an increase in material output by 60%. Another way to look at that is for the same energy, or for the same powder produced, it's only taking you 40% less energy consumed to get that material. So there are significant improvements. These are not small steps. This is a major step change and improvement, I would say. So if we look at this graph here, it quite simply shows that whenever you have a conventional water-cooled technology, for a certain kilowatt of motor, you'll get a certain pounds per hour. For the same kilowatt of motor, you will get considerably more pounds per hour output on the AirForce technology. And for us to achieve, basically they had the two pulverizers running, the water-cooled and the AirForce technology. They were putting that much material into the AirForce technology, they weren't getting to the limit. So when they increased the size of the motor for the same plate, the same grinder, they found that they could increase the power of the motor enough to provide a production rate increase of more than 100% than the water-cooled pulverizing systems. Minimization of meltdowns, that's a very interesting advantage that the new AirForce technology is giving. One of the biggest problems within grinding in your plant is that somebody has turned up the feed a little bit too much or gone a little too close to the limit in terms of the amount of material that they're putting in, and they have caused the powder particles to start to stick to the wall of the grinder, and then suddenly, like that, you get a meltdown. This new AirForce technology, that when you see it described in the video in a few slides from Orenda, you'll see that they're cooling this powder as soon as it comes off the grinding plates. So meltdowns are vastly reduced. In fact, using natural material in Orenda's test plant, they weren't able to get a meltdown. Better overall quality product. Why is this? Because they're operating with a lot more safer margins, they can afford to increase the temperature of the grinding. That means fewer tails, better shaped powder particles, and what that means to you is better flow within the mould. The final line here is reduced off-spec material. So, as we know, in regular pulverizers, you have to ramp the speed up slowly and take it up maybe over a period of 5 or 10 minutes. With this AirForce technology, it's a switch on button and you're good to go straight away. Reduction in costs associated with the grinding discs. Well, first of all, as you'll see in the video that's coming, the discs are double-sided. So when they're done on one side, you flip them around and you start again on the other side. They're disposable, so when you're done, you throw them away. And they reckon that there is about a 20% reduction in costs with this new method. Okay, you don't, also downtime, you don't have that downtime that you would normally have taking out the plates, setting up the spaces because they've been reground. Therefore, the thickness of the plate is changing, and therefore you need to change the spacing between the plates. Because there's none of this regrinding and reinstalling, you throw the plates away and put the new ones in, and you're good to go straight away. So you can have these in stock. The other thing with the AirForce technology, because we don't need the water cooling, the chiller, because we can get more output for the same grinder, there's about a 40% less space required for the footprint of these new pulverizers. Operating the guys who will be using this machine is a very simple job. It's simply push button start, okay? There's no PID controllers or temperatures to set. You just switch it on and you ramp up to the maximum current that's running through your motor. Minimized initial investment. Well, you can talk more with the Orenda salespeople about this, but there seems to be approximately 25% less the acquisition costs with the AirForce technology than there is for the water-cooled pulverizers for the same production rates, and that's quite evident to me. Cleaner operation. One of the things they do in the AirForce pulverizer is they isolate the milling chamber, so therefore material spillover is eliminated. You don't get this powder around the bottom of the pulverizer. So let's watch the video now from Orenda. So Orenda retained the expertise of Dr. Nick Henwood of Rotomotive in the UK, and he came over and witnessed a trial that was taking place at the Orenda plant, and he confirmed that he saw increased production rates, energy savings, steady operation of the motor, very important, not speeding up, slowing down. We're using the motor at the optimum rate. No need for water cooling, therefore lower maintenance, Wider spectrum of processable materials. That's a very interesting one. Probably we don't appreciate how interesting that is until we start to get these AirForce technology grinders out into the field. And he said that there was an excellent finished material quality. I believe there's a report done by Dr. Henwood, and that's available directly from Orenda on request. So here are some of the findings from the material, the powder experiments. Here we have the different meshes and the amount of material that was weighed in for these different meshes. All this is showing you is that the material that came out of the AirForce technology was no different than the material, it was no worse than the material that would come out of a regular grinder, and in fact was perhaps slightly better. So we're in the right area for grinding. Another trial of material that was pulverized for agri-plastics. Again, nothing unusual to see here. Mr. Sam Duva from Ingenia Polymers had a look at the powder. No tails, edges are smooth, very nice material morphology. You can see a couple of basic samples here where we have actually molded with the new powder. So this is something that you can see and touch. And if you were at the Rotoplas conference, you'd have seen these items on the Orenda booth. So in conclusion, Dr. Nick Henwood, Rotomotive, he said that this is a breakthrough technology and one that will cause major disruptions in the existing market paradigms. Ingenious from Bernard Villers. So those few people that have seen the AirForce technology, they have good things to say. Orenda asked me to publicly thank everyone involved in this development, and especially Mr. Fred Fetter for his decisive contribution, continued support and great ideas. So thank you for your time watching this video. I hope this has been of some value to you. Any information required now, please go straight back to Orenda. Thank you very much for your time.